Well, good morning guys. It has been a hot minute since I've actually done any videos in the reptile room here, or one of the reptile rooms. So for today, I thought, you know what, I need to get stuck up cleaning and get into all sorts. So I thought I'd bring you guys along for the ride, give you a little bit of an update on a few things that are going on here and a few plans that are changing and things. And yeah, just kind of touch base in general while I clean up one of the reptile racks. So this is the rack that I will be cleaning. Probably looks a little bit different to when most of you guys last saw it. There's been lots of stuff changing here, and I'll tell you why in 2 secs. But yes, this needs a thorough clean, and Oridura suck. That's all I'm going to say. I love them, but I hate them at the same time. I need to get really stuck in and clean a few of these enclosures. I've just cleaned up the Spinny's tank, and I'll kind of give you a bit of an overlay of that in a sec. But yeah, this is kind of like one of the racks that needs some super love. So for those of you that don't know, and this is probably the major reason why I haven't been kind of touching base so much, I've got a baby due in August, which I'm super excited about, having my first child. But in saying that, there's been a lot of things changing here, and this is another major reason as to why I've been downsizing the collection. Not only to kind of just hold in the reins a little bit further, but you know, it's one of those things that we all go through in life, I suppose, and yeah, I need to create some space for a child. So unfortunately, I've been moving a few reptiles on left, right and centre to really good homes, which I'm really stoked about. But yeah, that's probably the major reason why I've been changing things up a little bit in here. This room will be staying, so this is always going to be my little man den essentially. The other room's a little bit up in the air at the moment, so I'm trying to move things out of there and into here where I can. A few things will probably stay in that room, but yeah, things are a little bit kind of chopping and changing as we go here at the moment. So I'm super excited to have my first child. I cannot wait. Like, I'm absolutely, I don't know. It's just one of those things. I've got this awesome feeling about it, and I can't wait to meet the little human and everything. We don't know what the sex is going to be. Not 100% sure on names or anything like that yet, but we've got about, from time of filming this video, we've got about 13-14 weeks to go. So it's not too much longer really now. So Danny's doing really well with it all, which we're very happy about. So she seems to be coping really well, which is awesome. But yeah, it's one of those things that things had to change. Obviously, I'm not going to have time to look after 100 reptiles while I've got a newborn. My lifestyle's too busy, so I just don't have the time for it. So a quick update on the Spinifex hopping mice. You can see the tank looks pretty barren at the moment. I've just given it a good thorough clean out, actually, a nice sand sieve. You can see that all the crushed granite's really gone in there. They just couldn't dig the way that they wanted to dig, and I just don't think that's fair, kind of, you know, stopping an animal doing what it's made to do. So I went back with the sand mix, which is awesome. They love kicking it all about, as you can see. It gives them lots of entertainment, especially when you mess up the enclosure to the way that they don't like it. They love to reconstruct it. You can see that the painted background hasn't lasted all too well, and that's probably just because I've been putting rocks and things against it, which is kind of, you know, it's paint, it's going to come off. So I don't really mind too much, because I'm actually going to plan to do something similar to what I've done in a few monitor enclosures, which I'll actually update a little bit further on in the future, but I'll give you a quick sneak peek now. So I plan to do something a little bit more similar to this in the Spinny's tank. So I've got some images from down Yalara when I went down that way that I'll probably use for these guys' tank. Don't worry, I will touch on these later, not in this video, but I've got one more enclosure that I want to build for the Kimberley rock monitor, and we'll get into a video on that. But I plan to do something similar for a lot of the animals that are in this room. I really just want to make it like a really nice display, and I think having something like that for the Spinnies will be awesome. Not sure if I'm going to use the pipe that they've got in there still. I think what I might do is I might just try to find some more hollow logs like that one that's on the right there. They love that log. So that's what I kind of think I'll go down the route with.
the spinnies are going to stay. I love these little mice. I honestly, like, out of everything, I probably spend a good portion of my time watching these little guys of a night time having a feast, and I love coming in here and feeding them like pumpkin kernels and all sorts of weird things. So I absolutely get a kick out of these little guys. They've grown on me so much. They've populated a lot, so I'm actually just about to sell 5 of them to a young fella, Jeremy. So shout out to Jeremy. Thank you for picking up some of the mice. I think he's going to do really good with them. He's been asking a million questions, which I think is fantastic. So, you know, don't be scared to ask questions about things. You know, that's the best way you're going to get responses, and try to make sure that you get information from multiple sources as well and see what's going to work for you, because not everything that one person does means that it's going to be the 100% right thing, and you might be able to kind of make a better judgment, of course, talking to multiple people. So I actually have a few more mice than what I thought I had, which is okay. I'm happy with the number that I've got in there now. I've got, I think, 9 in there now, which I think is a nice kind of number for a colony. Obviously, when you start with a few mice, you end up with a lot of mice, so that's bound to happen. So I think Jeremy's going to be pretty good. He's got 5 little miceys in here, the little spinnies, and it looks like there's a group of boys and girls in there from what I can see, because they've been doing what mice do in the tub already. So I think being in a confined space, that's allowed them to jump on top of each other. But they're a nice group of little young mice too, so they're all weaned, all ready to go, all ready to start their nice little colony. I think they're from a couple of different litters as well, which will always help with a little bit of genetic diversity, of course. But yeah, it'll be awesome to give them to a new home, and I can watch my Destructo mice destruct even more, but I'm looking forward to really getting a nice background in there. Just, as I said, simple background, something similar to this, obviously just probably a bit more sand dune-y as such. But yeah, I reckon that'll look wicked once that's all done. Well, now that the spinnies are done, I'm going to start on these geckos, because these guys are pretty filthy. And I'm going to start with the worst of them as well, the Oidua fimbria. But what I want to do with these guys is I actually want to do a real good deep clean on this tank, so I'm going to actually pop them into a container while I do it, just so then they're out of the way. I can really get in there and not worry about them running around and doing what they do. So first things first, catch some geckos. There's one of the little guys there. These guys are such pretty little geckos. They are one of my favourite geckos. I just wish they weren't so messy. That's the only downside to them. It's also my own fault though, because I've been a little bit lax trying to get all this other stuff done. So I'm sure once I've got a bit more time up my sleeves, if I have a bit more time up my sleeves, then I'll be into these guys a little bit more frequently as well. The other gecko's stuck right in a crack. I'll have to show you guys. I've got to get this gecko out of this crack as well, so I might need some tongs or something like that to give me a hand with that one. There you go, that's looking a hell of a lot cleaner than what it was. I've obviously got to do the big rocks now, and I'll show you what I was doing to those. And I've just kind of stirred over the soil a bit as well after I picked out a bit of that fecal matter. I just like to do it just to kind of aerate what's there. Obviously we've just got some basic ficus in here. They're doing alright, but not, you know, the geckos thrash them, so, you know, we'll come back, we'll clean up the glass a little bit as well. But let's go and clean those rocks and get that all done. Okay guys, we're in the laundry. I'm sure my wife will really not appreciate me doing this, but don't worry, I'll clean the tub afterwards. But basically all I'm using is one of these cheap kind of hard plastic scrubbing brushes. This seems to be the thing that I like to use, and just some water. If you can make the water a little warm, there's no harm in that, but I just tend to use cold. Just give it a good thorough once over like this. Get all these nasty urates off.
rocks are all back in place and pretty clean. A hell of a lot better than what they were. I'm going to clean the glass quickly, add a water bowl and some fresh leaf litter, just because the other stuff that was in there was a little bit funky. So, pretty much to clean glass, I just use my mister bottle and wet paper towels and razor blades. Sometimes I'll use vinegar depending if there's some tough spots on there, depending on the animals that are in there too. You know, it just depends what you're going to do. Obviously geckos like to lick moisture off glass, so I generally don't put vinegar and things like that in there with geckos. If it's like my monitors and stuff, I will. But yeah, I don't like to go over the top with this sort of stuff. You know, some people might use wax and grease remover. Sometimes I will do that on the outside of the glass, but I definitely won't do it on the inside of the glass. I generally just do a bit of a wipe down, see if I can break off anything solid. If there is any of these sort of like little calcified spots or anything like that, razor blade makes quick work of those. Sometimes you might get dry sheds and things like that stuck to the glass, especially if you're a frog keeper. They're a big pain in the bottom. If you're like me and have a few loose bugs in your room, then you might get little cockroach spots and stuff like that occasionally around. But generally this is all I need. I get pretty lucky with these Oedura. Most Oedura tend to paint the glass with feces and things. For some reason these ones just like to do it on the rock work, which is fine by me. I actually find glass work is way easier to clean though, because obviously it's a smooth surface and a razor blade can chip things off easily. That's pretty good. And sometimes just a fresh paper towel to kind of finish the job on the particular glass panel. Sweet. So I'm just going to do that to all the glass panels inside of the tank there. And then we'll have a little bit of a sticky beak at it as I put the leaf litter and stuff in. Well, now that the enclosure is looking a lot better than what it was, we'll put these little attackers back into it. I say little, but they're actually pretty decent sized geckos. Western marble velvet geckos. Oh, wait. Beautiful little animals. There we go. Back into their digs and away into the rock crevices. I love these little guys. It's just a shame that they turn one cricket into 10 poops. That's the only downside to them. Other than that, real easy to keep. Beautiful little geckos. Now that I've done the worst of them and you've seen my process, I'm going to fast forward, essentially go through all these enclosures, but as I go I will make sure to show you the animals that I do have in these enclosures at the moment, because I actually think there's some animals here that you guys haven't seen yet. So these guys you definitely have seen. These are the Strophurus abrams, courtesy of worthy geckos, much like the Oedura next door. These guys need a good clean out as well. I need to take these branches out and give them a bit of a wash and get any of the nuggets off them. But these guys have been going mental, and I've actually got a few babies here at the moment. Okay, I swear I'm easily distracted. All of a sudden just started pulling down that rack that was there, so that's now out of the way. And this enclosure is a little bit more movable with the boids. But anyway, back to the task at hand. I need to get stuck back in and start cleaning these things.
So before I go putting these geckos back in, I'm going to put in some of these gum leaves. Now these gum leaves came from Corey at Fish Organics and Reptile Supplies, and they're a really nice thin gum leaf, quite unique. I'm just going to do a light sprinkling, nothing too intense, but just a little bit of an added aesthetic, and you know, a little bit for some of the cleanup crew that do survive in these arid bills to just nibble on. They will break it down pretty quick and I'll have to replace it again. I don't want anything too crazy, you know, I want it to still look like a bit like a desert, but again, I just wanted to freshen it up for these geckos. Alright, let's get these guys back into this box. They're pretty keen by the looks of it. The female's just about ready to jump out at me. I'll let her go back in there. I'll see if we can get a slightly closer look at the male, if he'll be willing. Hopefully the camera's picking him up there. But they're such stunning little geckos, and I love their little red eyes. And just in this tank next to them as well. Whoop! That was a close call. Just in this tank here next to them, we've actually got their offspring. And they're who we're going to clean next. This row was really easy to do because that tank is empty. I did just clean up a little bit of glue that's on the glass here. I am awaiting a couple of geckos for that tank. I'm just waiting on a friend to breed some hopefully for me. This tank, we've got little Oakley the she-oak skink. I've just added a whole bunch of leaf litter in there and gave that bowl a good scrub. There wasn't really too much fecal matter in there because I actually got a ton of springtails and bits and pieces in here that are cleaning up after him. And he's also gone down for winter pretty much, so he's pretty much not eating anymore for this season. And then in this little tank here, I've just got my beaded geckos. So there's actually one of them who's decided to come out. Oh, looks like I missed a spot. But yeah, he's over back there. And the other one was in one of these little burrows down here as well. So they've got a few little tubes that kind of go into the back of the soil and stuff there, or into the sand rather. There's a few little spots that I've missed on there that are just a bit too hard to get to, but not the end of the world because again they've got a fair few little springtails in there because we've actually got like a little bit of a dirt layer underneath the sand, so the springtails tend to hide underneath the water bowl and get up from there. Yeah, another good little tank. So all in all, that row's done. Now we're going to move on to some Hatchie Gillons, the depressor, and I've also got my newest geckos here, which are Strophurus and William's Eye, which I don't think I've actually shown on this channel before. I could be wrong, but there's one hanging out over there. Really cool species. I don't know where the other ones are, but essentially this was my Kimberley background tank. It was actually housing a Hatchie Boyd's Forest Dragon for a fair bit of time. After obviously the Felicipoda are no longer with us, but now it's home to the William's Eye. So anyway, I'm going to get cracking on, give these a good clean up, and then potentially some animals might come out, some might not. It's actually starting to get pretty dark here, so I don't know if we're going to see any. If I can show you them, I will. But all in all, the rack is starting to look a little bit better. Yeah, pretty happy with it. Just in case I can't show him to you later, there is my little Agonia depressor hanging out in this little hollow log. He's loving it in here. I've made it so nice and dense just with hollows and little branches and things for him to get at. You can see that he loves running around up on that wall because that's where his favourite place is to nugget. So it's all up there. But yeah, beautiful little skink. So glad I've still got this little guy. Absolutely love him. It's a cool little animal. It always comes racing out begging for food as well, which is really awesome. So then in this cage here, we've actually got a couple of hatchy gillons. Now there's one hiding up near the mesh up there. So awesome little lizards. I'll see if I can get a bit of a closer look at him for you. There we go. There's a little baby gilloni. Absolutely beautiful little lizards, these things. I love these guys, as you guys can tell. But I've got two of them in this cage here. They're just going to use this as a grow up cage. Super simple. A couple of hollow logs. That hollow log's actually got some loose bark on the side of it on the left hand side that they like to shimmy in between. And it's got a little hollow through there that they love poking the head out of. But they've got this nice warm spot underneath this, I think it's a 40 watt basking globe that I've got here. And that just warms that up to a nice kind of balmy 50-60 degrees. And they like to cook themselves under that. And then they've got UV up there that's not on currently. But yeah, awesome little monitors. Have a go at them. I always just end up staring at these guys. I just come into this room and just keep admiring them. Beautiful little lizards. Anyway, let's crack on with the task at hand, hey? They're not perfect, but they're not bad. I'm going to do what they need to do, and that's the main thing. I'm going to keep these little animals nice and happy and healthy. Well, there you have it, guys. Nice clean Exo Terra rack featuring some Spinifex hopping mice there at the bottom. It's been long overdue. Long overdue for cleaning this rack, long overdue for touching base with you guys about what's actually going on here and not just doing the herping videos. I still do have a few of those herping videos coming out, so there's going to be some good stuff coming. But yeah, it was about time that I showed you guys what was going on here and kind of gave you guys a bit of an update as well. And don't worry, I will of course give you plenty of updates on the other enclosures that I've got going on here. Good stuff in the works, that's for sure. As to what's going here, for the time being, I think it might be the frill neck and my adult gillons and that Kimberley rock monitor cage and stuff that's going to go here just so I can free up some space in the other room. We'll play it by ear, but that's probably what my plans are for the time being. I'll probably do some custom stuff to those cages too, just to kind of deck them out a little bit better than what they are currently. But yeah, really stoked to bring you guys along for the ride and just show you guys these enclosures and what's going on and give you guys a little bit of a generalised update. It's yeah, as I said, been long overdue. So thank you so much for sticking around and watching these videos and checking out these animals and supporting the channel. I'd really appreciate it if you guys considered to subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you like the videos, give them a comment as well, and let me know what you'd like to see in the future and where I can squeeze videos in. I'll be sure to do so. It's obviously going to be a bit of a time thing coming up with Bubs on the way, so it'll be interesting to see how everything kind of works out. But let me know what you want to see, because I'm going to be doing a hell of a lot of stuff here anyway, and I just need to be able to film it and have the time to do so. So anyway guys, without any further ado, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take it easy.